Offended does not cover how I feel. I am terrified. Too terrified to show you my face. And I've done nothing wrong.
So how would you feel if you opened up the newspaper and were confronted with an article telling you that you are a worthless, awful human being?
There aren't really enough words to describe how I feel.
Anger, disgust, resentment, fury, all of those kinds of things.
Initially I just felt really sick, which was a surprise because I'm a really confident person. I felt angry and I felt disappointed.
At first I was just incredibly angry and didn't really know what to do with all that anger. I couldn't believe that something so overtly hateful and offensive had been published in a national newspaper, and to have people not taking it seriously and not understanding the impact just makes it all feel worse.
To be honest, it put me into a fight or flight mentality. Within 2 minutes of reading it, I was shaking.
Yes, it was just really shocking, and it just left me feeling like it was just not safe, somehow.
I spend every day fighting so that people don't have to hear that kind of abuse and deal with that kind of crap. And it makes me feel, well, what's the point if it's alright for you to turn around and just think that you can say that?
I felt very helpless, because it wasn't just that this article was so transphobic and abusive, it was that most of the time in the press, that's what you see when you see stories about trans people.
Well, I'm really worried that as a direct result of that article there are fewer trans people around, and it's not an exaggeration if you look at the results from the trans mental health study. You can see that this is really affecting people, and one of the things specifically looked at was how media affects trans people.
One of the main things I feel is anger, but sometimes anger can just turn into depression. And I think for a lot of trans people, including me, that's something that I fight quite a lot.
I've been really low, lower than I've been for a long time over the past few days just because of this. Those words and phrases were used purposely to belittle our identities.
It's just, when you read words that have such fury in them and such hate, it just makes you feel, what is the point? I'm never going to get through this.
I'm angry at her. I'm angry at her editors, and I'm angry at anybody who says, oh, just get over it. It's like, look, you don't have to deal with this on a day-to-day basis. You don't have people thinking you're a joke, or a punchline, or a target.
People read your words and they take it seriously, and by doing so it creates this culture where transphobia is normalised, and it's okay to beat us up, and it's okay to call us names, and it's okay to rape and murder and assault us. Those things are the things that play on our minds and affect our mental health and drive many of us to suicide.
I mean, I've heard all of the terms that she uses directed against trans people, and I've seen the effect of those words on people that I deeply love and care about.
This last year, I heard a lot of the words that were used in that article, except they were shouted at me on the street, and spent quite a few months being afraid to leave my flat. I still live with that fear of not knowing when is it going to be a day that people shout stuff at me or follow me around.
I was furious and upset and worried for a lot of my friends who are maybe more fragile or more obvious and stand out in a crowd, and it's putting them at risk of abuse. It's dangerous as well as rude.
The language in the article was just so it was almost like it was out of time, like it didn't belong in 2013.
Shocked and appalled that in today's society such attitudes still exist.
I guess it kind of reminds me of schoolyard bullying, actually.
It just takes me back to all the nastiest stereotypical comments that were made about trans people back in the 70s and 80s when I was growing up.
It's a real shame to see that these attitudes are still out there.
The hate rant brought a lot of frightening things to the surface.
I hope that people will think a little bit more about what kind of harm they're doing when they use these kind of words to describe other people.
All identities, all sections of society will be hurt by this.
I am not worse than you are. I am the same as you are. I am human just like you, and I deserve to be treated so.
So I would say to those people, you're not interested in our lives, you're not interested in our affairs, you don't help us with our struggles, so please just shut up and leave us alone.